Welcome back to the Giants 2025 offseason blog, post free agency edition. I'm Dr. Lou. I'm not really a doctor, and welcome to my wife's basement. It's her basement. I pay the bills, but she gets the house when she's had enough, so it's her basement. I mean, she pays some bills too, but you get my point. Giants are now in full draft mode after a free agency period, which in my opinion was successful. I think Joe Shane continues to improve as a general manager. I'm very pleased that he spent on the safety position. I'm excited to have Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo at corner. We had a feeling the Giants would spend a cornerback. I did not think they would spend at safety. A very big fan of that. We'll see how Chauncey Golston works. I do think the Giants will look for a defensive line in the NFL draft, an interior defensive lineman, because the draft seems to be deep in that position group. So, just want to brush up on a few things now that the dust is starting to settle. There was that Aaron Rodgers bullshit that went on. He didn't want to be a Giant. And you know what? In a previous episode, I was very excited to have Aaron Rodgers with the caveat that he wanted to play in Dable's system and that he wanted to work with the Giants and play for the Giants. It's kind of clear that he doesn't want to do that. I don't know what he wants, but he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he wants to be a follower. So, you don't want to be a Giant? Fine. What do you want me to tell you? They got Jameis Winston. I still think Winston's got some ceiling left. I still think he's got ability and a willingness to learn. And the reason why I'm excited, it's not just because the Giants are only paying him $4 million base salary. It's because Dable doesn't ask much from his quarterbacks. When you see Tommy DeVito keeping them in games, even winning some games. When you see Drew Lock giving in week 16, I believe, the greatest analytical statistical performance from any Giants quarterback in franchise history, that belongs to Drew Lock. That shows you that Brian Dable's system really doesn't ask a lot from the quarterback position. It's not asking the quarterback to do incredible things and do Mahomes type things. Just be a quarterback. And I think Winston's capable of doing that. A lot of people are nervous about his interceptions. I disagree with that because not all interceptions are created equal. If your team is down 2 scores with 5 minutes to go and the quarterback throws an interception, good. He's trying to make a play happen. He's trying to win the game. You're probably losing a 90% chance. You're going to get on him for that interception? No, you're not. So all interceptions aren't created equal. You throw a bomb to Jalen Hyatt, and he does what Jalen Hyatt does, and he lets the defensive back push him off the ball and intercepts it. That's not on the quarterback. Things like that. Now, pick sixes obviously are bad, but let's take Jameis's interceptions into context as a New York Giant and working with Dable and beyond. He's got a sort of clean slate with me, and I think he's got a higher ceiling than Russell Wilson. I don't want to see Russell Wilson on the Giants. Personally, I mean, I guess it's fine. They're not going anywhere at Russell Wilson. So if you're not going to go anywhere with anybody, you might as well just not go anywhere with Jameis Winston, who you're paying $4 million a year base. It goes up with incentives. I'm not going to look up at the contract, but like I said, if you're going to go nowhere with Russell, you might as well go nowhere with Jameis. I think Jameis gives you a better football. So just some other things I want to talk about as far as free agency is concerned. Now, we don't know what the Giants are going to do at the draft, obviously. The quarterback situation is this with the draft now. They have Winston signed. The door's open now to bring in another quarterback. That's probably going to happen in the draft. Now, you hear reports saying that the Giants are still in on Russell. The Giants are still in on Rodgers, even though they have Winston. The Giants are not signing any quarterbacks until the draft. The Winston signing is going to cover them to see how the draft breaks for them. If they don't get the quarterback they want in the draft, and who knows what quarterback that is, That could be Ward, that could be Sanders, that could be Dart, that could be Shuck, that could be Quinn Ewers, who nobody's talking about, but his pro day is tomorrow. I don't know if this video will be out before his pro day, which is Tuesday. And Ewers has a first round pick pedigree. He was not a good decision maker in college and didn't do well under pressure. And that hurt him in the draft. And that's why we're not talking about Ewers before the third round. But Ewers was the top recruit in the country at a high school. He's got a football background in his family. He's got a wonderful arm. And he knows football. He's been in football since he was a toddler. He grows, it's in his family. So don't underestimate Ewers' pedigree. I'm not going to say the guy's going to go in the first round or even the second. I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the second. That's how good his pedigree is. My point is that the Giants, well, part of my point is that the Giants don't have to trade it back into the first round for Jackson Dart. They don't have to give up assets unless they really feel like Dart is the man. At 34, they're going to have a serviceable quarterback. If they feel like they can work, they're going to have somebody they can work with. It's all about if that quarterback can make the proper decisions and be effectively aggressive and mature and give them something to work with. But that quarterback is there at 34. I don't feel like Dart is so special that you have to trade back into the first round. Now, there's rumors that the Steelers aren't even going to go for him in the first round. They don't have a first-round grade on him. Now, we've seen the quarterback position overvalued in the history of the NFL draft. Brandon Weeden went like 22nd overall. So we know that quarterbacks who have no business being taken in the first round can be taken in the first round. That being said, I wouldn't put my eggs in the basket that Jackson Dart's going to be taken in the first round. The Giants have to trade up to get him. And if they miss out on him, I'm not so sure Shuck isn't as good, and I'm not so sure Ewers doesn't give them something to work with. Milroe, I don't think is a good fit for the Giants. I understand Milroe is an incredible athlete, very smart, good leader, will interview terrifically. The problem with Milroe is that he wasn't a good college quarterback, and the Giants don't have the situation to foster him, to have him learn on the job in the pros. If the Giants waste the 34th overall pick on Milroe and Winston doesn't do good, Dable and Schoen are going to get absolutely killed because Milroe won't be ready for the NFL, and they're going to get and Schoen and Dable are going to get hung because they wasted the 34th pick on a player that they can't play this year. So Milroe's not a good fit for them. I understand his potential, but he's just not a good fit for them at this time. Just going through some of the Twitter buzz. Joe Milton. Listen, the Patriots, didn't the Patriots just sign Joshua Dobbs? Well, so the Patriots don't even think Joe Milton is a quarterback too. Why would you trade for somebody whose own team doesn't even think they're the backup quarterback? You're going to give up assets for a quarterback, for a QB3? Yeah, forget about Joe Milton. Forget. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Read the tea leaves. His own team doesn't even think he's good. Now, what if, here's another situation. What if Ward and Sanders are gone in the first two picks, and the Giants are picking at 3 with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter on the board? I'm comfortable in that situation because you're still getting a blue chip prospect. You don't have to pass on a blue chip prospect, and you see what you could do at 34, or you can see what you could do with any of these able-bodied quarterbacks later in the draft, which goes back to my point. Now, if the draft board does not break right for the Giants at quarterback, now Russell Wilson's in play. So you're going to have your pick of Russell Wilson or Derek Carr if the draft doesn't break right for you at quarterback. So the Giants do not need to give up assets and to panic and to make a trade out of desperation. They can let the board fall to them. If it doesn't fall to them the way they want, if there's a non-quarterback they love in the second round and they don't even go quarterback first and second round, you still have Derek Carr and Russell Wilson in there to build something with your team that you're improving. I understand that it's not what the Giants fans want to hear, and they do need a young quarterback, but you could get one in the third round. You could find a quarterback that you'll put in at week 10. He'll win a couple of games. Everybody will go fucking bananas, and Dable and Sean will keep their jobs. That's a plausible scenario. Winston is to cover the Giants until the draft. The Giants are going to try to break the board in their favor at the draft at the quarterback position. If it so happens that it doesn't break right and it's a disaster, you have options still on the veteran market come June 1st. That's where the Giants are going with this. So they could still get their blue chip prospect in Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Hunter, I might do a later episode on this. Hunter may have character concerns stemming from his fiancée. We remember back in the day when he won the Heisman, his fiancée was like was kind of giving him shit. Deion Sanders had a remind her, hey, you got to be supportive. That they do a podcast together, and ever since then they've really scaled back on social media. When people are starting to say, hey, this girl is kind of getting in the way. Here's the issue with that. It's not that she's an uppity woman. It's just that players' wives don't get involved. It's not customary. It's not a distraction you need. So and plus the spotlight, this is about the player. The Heisman Trophy is about the player. What the player does on the field, it's about him. It's his work, it's his glory. His wife is there to support him, not to take the spotlight from him. So you see the players' fiancés and wives just playing a supportive role in these situations. So it's unusual to have somebody kind of take a little bit of the spotlight. Also, it's just she doesn't. I'll go into it in another video, but these players, girlfriends, fiancés, whatever, they just carry themselves differently. They have a different look than Travis's fiancée, and since it's unusual, you could see it as a potential distraction. That may be in a later video. Does Hunter come with character concerns because of his brand, because of his potential entourage? Does he carry character concerns? If so, that makes Abdul Carter the pick at number 3, because the Giants are just in a too fragile of a state to absorb anybody with any kind of who brings any kind of distraction. Listen, in the big picture, Travis Hunter's brand, he brings Deion, he brings his fiancée, that probably means nothing. He's probably just as great as a player. It's just the Giants can't handle any kind of distraction. They can't foster that environment. So, again, it's about fit. It's not just about talent. Abdul Carter, once again, just makes more sense, might make more sense for the Giants at 3. And then you either trade Thibodeau or you carry both of them. Thibodeau has that 5th-year option. That increases his trade value because the team that trades for him controls him for the 5th year since he was drafted in the first round. Also, I wonder if the Panthers wouldn't trade up. The Panthers, who have the worst pass rush in football and desperately need a pass rusher, I wonder if they wouldn't trade up from the 8th pick to number 3 to the Giants for Abdul Carter. The Giants would get the 8th pick, and in addition, they would have to get this year's 3rd and next year's 2nd and 4th to even out the value. So would you trade back to number 8? If you had Abdul Carter on the board, would you trade back to number 8? If it meant you got the 8th pick, the 3rd pick in this year's draft, a high 3rd pick, mind you, and the 2nd pick and the 4th pick in next year's draft. I think it's worth considering, especially since you can have Mason Graham on the board at that time, or Tet McMillan, or a lot. I forgot Mason Graham's line mate, but he's just as good as a defensive lineman as Graham. So the Giants could still get a tremendous prospect at a position of need at the 8th pick if the Panthers want to trade up with him plus additional assets. I think it sounds like a good deal. So with that, I said enough. This is where the Giants are now going into the draft. This is what I believe firmly, the attitude that the Giants will take into the draft and through the draft and after the draft. I feel like this is the Giants' plan going forward. They filled a lot of holes in free agency. It freed them up to have flexibility in the draft. I think they will, if Sanders Ward are there at 3. I think they will take Sanders or Ward. I'm comfortable with Sanders. The reason why I'm comfortable with Sanders is, I mean, people are saying, oh, he doesn't run fast. Oh, he doesn't have a great arm. Did Eli or Peyton Manning run fast or have a great arm? They were consensus #1 picks. Did Roethlisberger run? Did Phil Rivers run? If we had the scrutiny we have today on these quarterbacks, any quarterback who isn't a superhuman athlete like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson would be labeled a bust. There's more to the quarterback position than raw athleticism, and Shedeur Sanders possesses that. I'm comfortable with Sanders at number 3. Am I in love with passing up a blue chip prospect? Of course I'm not, but I'm still comfortable with it. If the Giants can't get the draft to break right, in other words, if they don't get Ward or Sanders at 3, and if they don't get who they want at 34, the next quarterback, then I feel like the Giants will be looking back at the veterans to cover themselves. You know, June 1st, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, things like that. And I'll make a later video with what the Giants are going to zero in on the draft. I think they're definitely going to look at defensive line. And the Giants continue to fill the linebacker position with quasi special teamers, quasi linebackers. I think if a great value linebacker comes up to them in the draft, I think they might take it, because I think they might be looking to cut Okereke, or McFadden is going to be a free agent after this year. They might have to address the linebacker position as well. And of course, you know, you're looking for value at the wide receiver position. It's hard to get a great wide receiver, though, after the second round. So, like I said, the Giants remain flexible. And that's what free agency does. It allows you to plug your holes to remain flexible so that you don't have to draft for need year on year. So until next time, I'm Dr. Lou. I'm not really a doctor. And I'll see you in the next one.